It's not perfect, but it's pretty dang good.
I'm so curious about this thing.
Yeah, it's good. The biggest things for refinement right now is like, I can make it work really good on the track, but then it kind of loses some of its like comfort if you're driving around at like partial throttle.
Got it.
But driving at full tilt, it works really well.
That's what I want to. That's what I want to know. This is so cool.
I'm curious what you think of it. You ready?
Yeah. So do you think this would be good for driving fast as well as drifting?
I mean, I think nothing's going to be better than like the automatic transmission for like on the track.
Right.
Like I think the stock trans control is probably the best that you can get for that. But for drifting, I mean, you can feel it. I'm clutching in, I'm floating and putting the car exactly where I need to.
Right, but you're not clutch kicking. That's the only thing.
So you probably could. I don't really see a reason to.
Yeah.
Like the car makes so much torque so quick.
Right.
That like I'm still a little nervous since it's something new to me, where if I can avoid putting abuse on things.
Yes. That's cool. I mean, it's kind of more your style anyways though, right?
It's cool, it's different. And you can throw it around pretty good.
I see that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty blown away. Did you try like what would be the main difference? The main difference is not being able to disengage the transmission, right?
Mm-hmm. And then also like it wouldn't be as easy to like float off throttle.
Got it.
The car wouldn't want to float as much, or I'm clutching in quite a bit to float the car.
Just to float.
Mm-hmm. Without
e-brake or anything.
Correct.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
All right, we go again.
So the level of difficulty is there though. It's a little more involved than having a normal drift car with a normal clutch then?
I wouldn't say so.
Really?
No, I'd say it's pretty easy. The car makes such good power.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What an interesting thing. And what the reason why you wanted to do this is because there's so many of these chassis around?
There's not a lot. It's just like I see a lot of people doing this with F80s, and I think this is a cooler looking car than an F80. It's lighter. I like the B58 engine. So I was like, well, if they can make a seat time B58, could we do it with a Supra? So I tried to build this as like inexpensive as possible. That's why it's just got like stock suspension, tie rod adapters, a trans controller, and a suicide handbrake.
Huh. And then you're what? That's like what? 30 grand in?
Yeah, so the car I paid like mid-20s for. So like I'm about 30 grand into it. I mean, the seats are really expensive, but I pulled these out of my other car, so.
Right. I mean, you potentially could just run with stock seats.
Yeah.
So, wow, that is something else. I mean, that's honestly how much my 350Z pretty much cost to build to this point.
It sounds so expensive, but when you think like what it would cost to like put a 500 horsepower 2J in an S chassis and make it dialed and have AC and all the creature comforts, you're in a 50 grand territory real quick.
Huh. Wow. So then the traction control, it's always off, or do you have to turn it off every time?
No, I just turn it off.
Huh.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I can shift with the paddles too. I actually haven't tried, but I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Here we go. This is interesting. to float, and then when you let the clutch in to e-brake,
yeah,
when you get back out of it, do you dump it, or are you pretty easy on it?
No, I dump it, but I just don't give it a bunch of gas.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, because essentially every time you pull the e-brake, you're kind of doing a clutch kick in a way.
Yep.
Wow, that is so neat.
I'm glad you like it.
I just don't get why more people don't do this.
I mean, until now, it wasn't really an option, right? You'd have to manual swap the car and then make all the CAN bus stuff work. And like, you can't find a crash manual Supra because they're so new. So I thought it'd be cool. The HTG guys, we've been talking about doing a project for a while, and I kind of give them the challenge of seeing if they could use their GCU to emulate all the stock stuff, because the real challenge is not getting this stuff to work, but keeping the car happy so that the engine can still say, okay, I see that a transmission's connected and it's doing what it needs to. So they had to like decode all the CAN to tell the car all the things that it wants to know to be happy. And the fact that I can have this dash works, CarPlay works, AC works, like everything just works like a normal car.
Huh.
Yeah.
That is just crazy. Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, it would obviously probably be a lot easier to take a manual Supra and turn it into a drift car.
100%.
Yeah, but there's just so many of these around already.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other cars that have this transmission too, so it's kind of just like exploring something new that we haven't done a lot to kind of see how it works.
How long do you think this will be like the final revision, or like at least a public version of it?
So like, I would feel comfortable right now if you said, Adam, I want the same thing that you have. I would feel comfortable with you having the same version. But like, you know, there's a lot of male Karens out there, and like, I want to put this thing through its paces and beat the crap out of it for a few months before I like sign it off and say, yeah, you can't break this thing. Yeah, got it. You know, because like, someone might drive this completely different, or like they might be in a weird scenario where we might be unhappy. But like, so far I've put quite a bit of abuse through it just here, and it's going to go to its first event this weekend, so I'm stoked to see how it does. Awesome. Well, thanks for showing it to me. Yeah, of course. I'm stoked that you got a ride in it. So cool. One of the first. Awesome. This is a 2020? Yep. So you can't do this to A91, or? No, you technically could. So I got a 2020 just thinking like, oh, I won't have to send the ECU out to get unlocked and all that. But it turned out this one had gotten flashed by the dealer, so I had to do it anyway. Oh, got it. So it wouldn't have been really different since they cracked those ECUs now. 2020. Biggest thing right now that I'm trying to figure out, you might notice when we go down the straight, there's like a little like bog between second and third, and I think that might have to do with some of the transmission ECU communication. So I'm trying to get data logs to see if it's the engine that's causing a throttle closure or if it's a transmission. So that's what you're holding right now. Okay. It makes me wonder if you're going to feel any difference when you're tandeming or when you're following somebody. Yeah, I'm curious how it's going to happen, right? Like, because what it's going to feel like. That's going to be a big change because you just have less tools. Yep. I mean, like, we could probably clutch kick. I haven't really tried. I mean, I kind of do it a little bit, but I'm just very gentle with it. Right, right, right. It? Yeah. So it's actually pretty hard. Yeah. It kicks really hard. Yeah. You can adjust that and you can make it softer or harder, but when you soften it too much, then it becomes slower getting on and off the handbrake. So there's like a lot of these little regions where it's like you got to pick and choose which you want. If you want the smoothness or you want it to be fast.
So then, and that pedal, where's that pedal out of?
That's a 350Z gas pedal. It has a TPS on it, so you're able to use that. So like, it's not just an on or off switch.
That is so cool.
So it's variable. So like, I could technically, I can't do it now because like I said, I have it so tight. But like, you could drive it like a manual to where like, I'll probably end up stalling it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's interesting because the fact that you're spending your time doing real-time development for this product, I mean, like, this is what interests you, huh?
Yeah, it got to the point, right, where we've done so many drift cars, like we've done so many JZ cars and RB cars and SRs with the same gearboxes, that this is something that I know a lot of people are doing over in Europe, and it seemed like a cool, different thing to learn. Like, I don't know a lot about CAN, and if it works well, it creates a new market that we can hopefully help serve more customers with Drift HQ with.
I mean, like, you showing me this makes me want to do this to my Supra, because then I could drift it.
Yeah.
Also.
I will say, they do drift like pretty solid in stock form, but I want this to be able to be like tandem with your bros and do exactly what you want with the car.
Yeah, I mean, because it's one thing to save up for a manual Supra. I mean, you're gonna have to spend $65,000, $70,000 on one.
Yep.
Versus the fact that you could get a crash one of these, and I know there's so many of these out there, and you do this and it's this good, and you know, you just made just a point right now clutch kicking it, and I actually felt it.
Oh yeah.
This is just so cool. That is amazing.
That's a good car.
It's like an automatic manual.
Pretty much.
Huh. Huh. All right. Let's see. So it's not running a square setup. 245s in the front, 265s in the back. It's so funny to me when you look at it with 18s, it looks tiny. It looks so small. A wild Colette has appeared. Can I say hello?
Yes.
Hello. You're so cute.
What do you think?
It's cool. Did you ride in this yet?
Yeah.
I'm blown away.
The day that I rode in it, that next day I got a whole GCT setup for a new build I'm doing. So
this is really
I'm
cool.
sold.
I'm very excited about this because, as dumb as it sounds, this is a budget build. This is a budget drift build. This is something that a lot of people want to do, including myself.
Even just watching him, it just looks like a video game.
It's so
Just grabbing
crazy.
gears whenever, like it's a whole. It's gonna take some learning, I know, especially when I drive one for the first time that's set up similarly, just DCT version. But I'm excited. It's next level stuff, and it's gonna be really cool. The more and more people start doing this.
It's gonna be hard for me if I jump in it to realize that I'm driving automatic to like start and stop. But then I can still clutch kick and e-brake and all that stuff. That's the weird thing.
It's crazy.
It's just so
It's
weird.
the future.
The future. The future of drifting is here. Colette saying, the future of drifting is here.
Oh, she's sold. She wants to do a DCT in her next drift car.
Yeah, this thing is so cool. Stay. Stay. I'm going in hot.
How's it going? I'm here. This is weird. I brought puppies.
I see that. Somebody else's
We
puppies.
got a van full of filmers, van full of equipment.
When YouTubers collide.
Yeah, I think it happens pretty often here at the LZ compound. I would say. So.
I think so.
I didn't even know you were here.
I didn't know you were
Pulled up and
coming.
I saw you. I saw the hair, and I knew. Is that Larry's hair?
What are you doing here? Are you
We're
doing?
filming the Clean Culture Show tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
We're making like a documentary as well. So we've been making one for like 10 years. We've been filming interviews and stuff like that. So we're wrapping it up at this show, plus filming the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's good to see you.
What are you doing here?
I just showed up. I don't know.
You just showed up.
Just showed up
That's
randomly.
kind of how it works here, huh? You showed
Yeah,
up. There'll
yeah,
be a car to
exactly.
drive. There'll be a course to drive,
Yeah.
and then at some point Adam will show up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. So a couple of other things. I know you touched on some of this stuff in your video. What about the hydro e-brake?
What about it?
So like you're doing inline setup.
No, so actually we didn't even have the fittings to do that. So the easiest thing was just to do suicide brakes. So right now the car basically has front brakes to the foot pedal and rear brakes on the hydro. I wouldn't advise it, but for now it works. And then we actually just had dual caliper brackets made. So we'll be able to have a second caliper.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah, it's good. It works. You didn't know?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You're insane.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So then, but ideally you would want to do a dual caliper setup.
It's personal preference. Some people like inlines, but yeah, I'm gonna do a dual caliper just because I think like that's another like product that's an easy sell for the market.
Yeah, because then it doesn't mess with the ABS stuff. It doesn't like make this upset probably.
Right. But surprisingly, the Suicide doesn't mess with ABS stuff. It doesn't care.
That is so weird.
I know.
Okay, so then with your dual caliper setup, is it going to be another stock Supra caliper?
It'll probably be a Willwood. So I believe SLG is the one like making the kit. I think we have it here, and it's made around kind of just like a Willwood 2-piston caliper.
Got it. And then also the angle kit. I know this is something that you're developing.
Yeah. So YSFAB makes a fantastic angle kit for this car. It's what I have on the 4-rotor. But with YSFAB, as you know, it pokes your front wheel out like here. So
yeah.
I wanted to see if I could come up with something that would suit like a stock body. And this is very similar to what a lot of people do on other BMW chassis. It's basically a tie rod adapter. Kind of like, have you ever seen those on Zs? People do them on Zs. It moves the tie rod closer to the...
That's what I have on my car. It's like a GK Tech. Yeah.
So it's a very, very similar principle on this. It's just a little bit harder to package because of like limitations, and there's a little bit more for the wheel to hit when it turns. But I have it set up right now to where you can get the maximum angle without hitting in the front or the rear.
Right.
But you felt it, like it's enough to have fun.
It's great. And so really the main reason why you're coming to market with this stuff first is because you want to be at the forefront of this chassis becoming more obtainable for everybody.
I'd say that's like icing on the cake. I really just wanted to do this to do it. Because like it's the dream to have like a cool, nice car with AC. And back in the day, that's what I do on my Z. And that's what everyone else has done. And the Zs are popular because of that. You can drive to the track and do that. But to have a 500 horsepower version of that in a modern car with the reliability of this platform and also looking cool, that's just something to keep me excited about doing little fun drift events. And
yeah, no, it's great. And then plus obviously you're supporting Drift HQ side. But this isn't making 500 horsepower.
What, like 450?
So this is just all bolt-on.
Yeah, it's just a bolt-on car. So it's bolt-on with the RK tune. I forget the Super World, but I feel like, what is it, like 500 foot-pounds of torque and like 450 horsepower or something around that.
With all of this stuff, it's just so easy to make power with this platform. And
they're very, very torquey engines. Like they make so much power down low. Like if they roll over a little bit up top, for drifting, torque is key. Using like a lot.
And then, so what do you think about the gearing, the way it's set up now? Because it's 8-speed, and the third gear in this is like more like a traditional second gear in a lot of cars. So
driving around here compared to other cars, it feels like I'm kind of, I don't want to say stuck, but like bouncing between second and third. But with the auto, it doesn't really matter much because you can just shift and there's no bog between it, right? So like as you saw, we were going into third where I needed a little more wheel speed, and I'll just bop it down to second on the hairpin stuff. But I don't even use first.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because with your Z, it's like a second gear hero here. You just put it in second and you can go anywhere with it.
Yep.
Whereas this, you still have to think about shifting potentially.
Yeah, you run out of wheel speed kind of quick. Now I do have right now the wrong size tires in the rear. This is just, I couldn't get 19-inch tires quick enough. So these are 5x114 wheels that I just put a little bolt-on adapter.
And so ideally right now you're running a 245 in front and 265 in the rear. Ideally, what would you run?
So the setup that I have on the car right now is based around the stock wheels. So in an ideal world, you could run your stock wheels, put a spacer on them, powder coat them so they look cooler, and you could run 19s on this all day. 18s, tires are a little bit cheaper, they're a little bit easier to find. I would love to run this car on 19s down the road. But right now I'm just kind of doing this because it's what I had. But my ideal tire size for this power, like it depends on what compound you're using. I like the G2s from Nitto, and I would think around like a 265 to a 285 in the G2, with this car being a little bit heavier, a little bit more power would probably be pretty solid. And then in the front, like 235 or 245 in TO5.
Last question. What are you doing about the diff right now? I watched your video where I guess there was some kind of quick fix that they could do to it.
Basically, the diff on these are electronically locking. And we were able to send power to the diff and get it to lock somewhat, but not enough power to get it locked to the degree that we want. So Jordan, RK Tunes, makes a little mod where it's basically turns it into a welded diff, where it locks the diff permanently, but you lose the ability of having the diff open up in rain or wet conditions. So the ideal fix, HTG is going to develop a diff controller for this. So we'll have a module that can actually supply the right amount of powers at the right time, and you can control it on the fly.
This is cheating.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, imagine driving a 240 and being able to be like, all right, welded, open. Like,
I mean, that's like what off-road people do, you know, like lock and unlock their diff from inside the car. This really is the future of drifting.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I mean, this is already crazy for us shitty drift kids, you know, that what we grew up with and what we, I guess, learned from. Could you imagine what it would be even more, like how crazy it will be with electric cars, like the tunability and I don't know, just the other things that you can change. I mean, I don't know. It's not there yet. Obviously, it's going to be a while before we have to even think about that. But this is like a good step towards being able to use a modern sports car for what we love to do.
Yeah, and like this theory could be applied to many other cars with an 8 HP gearbox. So there's tons of BMWs. I even think some of the Fords, some of the Dodges use a similar transmission. So in theory, it's possible to do in all those cars. So just, you have to take the time to do the R&D to get all of the other chassis stuff to be happy. The transmission control is the easy part, but keeping everything happy is the hard part.
It's kind of funny, this platform was like such a bastard child car to begin with, and then the drag racing crowd like adopted it pretty quick once they realized that it was good, fast, and easy to make power. And then now time attack, road racing, and then now potentially drifting. But like, you have probably one of the craziest ones ever, right, sitting right there, which
car.
You have a lot of time to that you have to develop on it still, right, to get it to, I'm sure, where you want it to be. But it's also cool that you're kind of going backwards in a way to develop the stock vehicle.
Yeah, and it's something that like stock with any drift car, whether it's a 350Z or a new car, the more close to stock you can keep a car, the more fun you can have, because in theory it should be more reliable.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for showing us this.
Of course.
I'm blown away. I'm excited at this thing, and I think this is something that I want to build for myself.
It's cool. Let me know. I'll help you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to support us directly, go to larrychenprints.com. I print and sign every single one of these. This is the perfect gift, or it's the perfect piece of art for your wall.